My name is Linda Lopez. I serve as a state senator for the Southwest Mesa and South Valley here in our community, Bernalillo County. I've been in the legislature now for 14 years. And during my tenure in Santa Fe, I've had an opportunity to learn a lot about the legislature, as I know my colleague in the House. But when you talk about electability, one question that does come up a lot, two women. Can two women do it? And I said, yes, why not? And part of the reason why I say that is because, first of all, a lot of credit should be given to Diane Dennis. She has made the Lieutenant Governor's job a very good, credible job. She has done a lot of work and has built it up to where it is today. But the previous has always been male. No disrespect to the gentleman in the room. But it took a woman to take it by the horns and make it to the job that it is. She's been an advocate, of course, for early childhood issues, pre-K, the kindergarten issue. That's been an issue that I have long been. Not just now, but previously, if you look at my legislative record for the last 14 years. But when you talk about who it is, who can help the ticket, we need to look for somebody who's independent, who has some independence, because they will be hitting us. The other side of the aisle will be hitting us very strongly on issues on ethics, issues on integrity. And with what has been happening with the governor for the last few years, I, under my leadership, and the Senate, working together, have put together on the Rules Committee a background check system. We've never had one for any of the governmental employee, but the opportunity that the governor, where he appoints persons to sit on the State Investment Council, the Board of Regents, anybody else, we've never had a background check system. He's fought me on it for 2 years, but I did get it through finally. It's been documented in the newspapers, but I've stood up against him on that. We finally have a system, and this was even before the issues on the State Investment Council. We already were beginning the process of having background checks. And I think that's something we can stand on as a democratically controlled legislature, that we have done that type of work. When we talk about the issues, what we just dealt with in Santa Fe about the budget and where we are with regards to taxing, who do we tax and how do we tax, I was one of the few in the legislature who stood against the governor on the tax breaks that we've given. You can go look at my record, it's public, it's not something that I'm making up. When we did pull the tax on groceries way back when, I had stood up against him because I knew, as did the Legislative Finance Committee, that was the only stable tax that we have in the state of New Mexico. By taking it away, we were going to be crashing, and it has come to it, except now the national system has done its own deed itself too. But we knew already that was going to create a big hole and would hurt us. The other issue about pulling back the pit, and that is, the taxing of those where we now have a one tax system in the state. We're now all paying 4.9%, regardless if you make $20,000, $30,000, or if you make $500,000. We're all paying the same. I voted against that. I took it. I was in the woodshed, and I still am with the governor, and I stand proudly on that. But I stood against that because that's not what we need to do. If you are earning and are benefiting from the system that we have in this country, you need to pay your fair share. And what we are currently paying at that 4.9% to everybody, it should not be done. The year after that tax passed in the legislature, you can go on the website and see, I introduced a bill to reverse what we had done. Again, knowing, sitting on the Legislative Finance Committee, exactly where we were going to be, and here we are. Regardless of what happened at the federal level, we would still be short about another $350 million, give or take a little bit, because of what those tax forgivenesses have done. It's been there, and it finally got some traction this year, which was like, oh my gosh, gee, guess what? But it's been there. I have introduced it, and I stood against that. That is who Diane needs to be with her as part of this campaign. She needs somebody who's out there, who's willing to fight, somebody who's willing out there to go and stand, and who has the ability to say, I've stood independent of the governor. I have done it, and I've taken the woodshed, and I'll do it again anytime again. It doesn't matter to me, because that's what I've been elected to do. I represent my South Valley, which is a very honorable community, and we get a lot of raps on it, but I also represent people in the state. I'm a single mom. My son is out there playing someplace in here, but I live it every day, and a lot of people in our community live this. As you well know, across our state, even as we travel and talk to people, that is what makes the difference to me, is when somebody is in office that understands what I have to deal with every day. And I'm not talking about me, I'm saying the real people out in our communities. When we talk about education, it is deplorable what we are doing in our education system. We're not graduating, but when I was in high school, half of my class didn't graduate either, and that's been a little over 25 25 years ago and then some. Something is still not working for our young people. Something is still not happening. And even at today's rate, it's even more deplorable because we have technology, we have so much to offer for our kids. What are we missing? What is not there for us to work with? But part of the issue too is when we talk about families and parents, it's not just parents anymore. 54% of our parents are grandparents. 54% of them in the state of New Mexico are raising their families, the kids, the grandkids. In our own county, here in Bernalillo, it's 51%. And now that the new census comes in, I think it's going to go up even higher. So when we talk about working with parents, well, it's not just parents, it's working with the grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, Theo, whoever it is that's working with that child, we have to get them engaged because it's no longer traditional parent. I'm a single mom. I'm not a traditional family either. Although some may argue that's the new tradition here too. It's a mix of what we have in this country and in our state. I have to work for a living. I make about under $30,000, give or take a little bit every year. I have to balance my checkbook. I understand what it is. If I don't have money coming in, I can't go out and spend money. That's what I think we need to take with us to Santa Fe and kind of figure out what we need to do. If we need to bring government in a little bit, fine, but let's do it the right way. But we still have to take concern of not hurting our families, not hurting the school systems, and most importantly, our issues on health care. Because with those are the three basics that we have to make sure that take care of our people. I've taken care of my mom for a couple of years because that's the tradition that I was raised in, the values that I've been given. So I understand, I'm part of that sandwich generation, and I understand that's another area that we also have to work on, is taking care as our baby boomer generations, I'm part of that. We start getting older, we have to figure out what kind of system is there. And we need input from our communities to design a system here in New Mexico that addresses that issue. I'm Linda Lopez, and I could go on and on, but I know I have one more colleague to speak also, but I appreciate the consideration of your support on next Saturday, but of course as we go on to the June 1st election too. Thank you.